You feel the power of the dark side.
2, 1, 0.
Greetings, Retro Unlimmers, and welcome to Talking Telephone Numbers. Nah, it's actually Games World. I'm Harry Yack, and I have nothing to do with this show. I did not present it, I did not star in it, and I was not a guest. I am merely a fan, offering a fan's eye view on the show. Not a band's eye view, but a fan's eye view. Now, isn't that cool? Unlike this introduction here, although I'm a huge fan of CRT monitors, I'm not quite sure the whole CCTV operator theme was necessarily very good for a kid's show, but we'll give it a chance. It was supposed to be edgy. Well, I was going to say it was broadcast on Channel 4, but it wasn't. It was broadcast on Sky 1. Look at that fantastic dog. A dog is an on-screen graphic, by the way. I'm not talking about Andy Collins. Although some people might describe him as such. He's there in his football shirt. The reason for which will be explained later, if you can be bothered watching that far.
Don't forget to give Jez a call back at the studio. Let me tell you a little thing about John over here. John, okay, has everything in life. He's got money, he's got this wonderful car.
Those kids, they're going to be participating in tonight's Games World Live, yes. You know it's live by the flashing live in the top right corner. It's here to rival Noel Edmonds' house party. But unfortunately, it's nowhere near as good in quality. However, it's just as cheesy. Because here we have a toilet. Bog standard reviews, never mind that. Bog standard video game programming.
Enough of Tottenham, let's meet a team of winners.
I'm Richard, I'm James, and I'm John.
So straight away, it was down to the gym to put these guys into training for tonight's show.
I must admit these little clips of the guys working out here are quite humorous. If you're a 5-year-old kid. No, I'll give the show some credit, because even though by this time the show was losing some of its luster, it still retained some of it. Bob Mills was gone, unfortunately. We had Jeremy Daldry, I believe it is, who you'll see a little bit later. Why are they playing golf? What kid plays golf? And what kid wears such clothes? Oh my! Oh yes, I forgot. This is the 90s, isn't it? What, hold on a minute! Oh no, I'm actually living in 1992! Crumbs! Oh no, all my clothes have become bright and tacky. Ah, no! Jeremy Daldry, saving me from this madness. And a lovely cat-suited girl on the side there, not paid to say anything, just pretend she's talking on phones. I must apologise for a previous part in which I said there were guys on those phones. Well, I don't know, they might have been guys. They might have had a sex change, but moving on. Donkey Kong Country, do not throw those blasted Super Nintendo boxes around. They can get battered easily. And what was that last game there? Show it to us. Is it Mario Kart? Mario Kart had a blue case. Yeah, this is what counts for comedy on Sky 1, I suppose. Aye. Oh, look, you can win a bike. On these shows, you could always win a bike. You wouldn't be seen dead without a bike in those days. Oh, look, that clock. It says 6 o'clock. Ah, there we go. Confirmation this was shown at 6 p.m. on a weekday evening. Probably Tuesday or Thursday, because, as you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the in-studio fighting face-off thingy-majigs. Yes. They stole the format for that, or rather, Hewland reappropriated it for Season 3 of Games Master. Dave Perry was a big driving force behind that. And I also read that they changed the set halfway through, which caused some real problems, so they had to change the format to a team playoff style thing, in much the same manner as Games World. What does he have written down on that piece of paper there? The answers, if you were watching this in HD, you'd be able to get closer to the screen and look. In fact, I'm doing that right now. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by the girls in the background. I'm very easily distracted. Andy Cute Bum Collins. Right, we'll move on. What's this madness going across the bottom here? Reckons he's our #1 fan. Nintendo hotline available. Oh no! My guess is that Nintendo paid them some money to put that there, because that cost quite a lot of money, that I remember. The Nintendo hotline. The only time anybody in our household used it was when my brother was stuck on Super Mario. He had one more star to find in the whole of the game, and he just couldn't find it. So we phoned up, asked, and he sat there talking for 5 minutes with this very well-spoken, nice bloke who told him all the stars that he'd already got. And a couple of weeks later, we went on the game and found the star promptly. So basically, we paid all that money for nothing when we could have found it out ourselves. Back to Games World, because I'm sure that's what you're here for. Or is it? I don't know. Please tell me what you're here for, because I don't know myself. Oh, I missed the name of the game, but as was customary in these types of Street Fighter clones, actually I don't know, this might have influenced Street Fighter in some manner, you've got the fantastic background animations. There's somebody with the knocking knees, they're so cold, and the guy with the Russian flag is braving it, although his Mac is blowing suspiciously in the wind there, and that... No, I'm not going to say what the guy in the orange bathrobe is doing, but the snowman's head flew off. That's really quite humorous, isn't it? Chortle! You've got the cheerleaders in the background. I certainly would have invited cheerleaders from my school along if I went on this show. I would have needed them too, because I'm terrible at video games. Ah, brilliant hand-drawn card with the number 3 on it. I bet one of the kids drew that. What's that? For children's parties, very cheap, Andy Collins. I'm not sure if that's how he talks, but that's the only southern accent that I can do.
One of the girls could bring over, because it's rather special. It's rather wonderful. Joe, known as Speedy Gonzales,
What's she bringing over? Ah, one of those fantastic joystick type things that's probably useless. But I'm gonna stop being a cynical old fool. Ah, that was World Heroes 2, won by Richard Murphy at home. Which brings us to the next part of this. See the kids there who are in the mansion? They played off against other kids who were sat at home working the game via their keypads. Oh, what's that cricket game? I must know, don't cover it up. I don't want any of the other games. Ah, it's too pixelated, I can't tell what they are. But I want that cricket game. Donkey Kong Country, which was one of the newer games around the time. And in a minute, we're going to see a kid control Donkey Kong Country using his own telephone keypad. You can imagine the problem with that, can't you? Oh, lady in the background, yes, you're on camera, you'd better do something, like walk off.
Donkey Kong Country is a very new game.
Yeah, very new. You haven't even played it yet.
You haven't even played it, does that worry you?
No, not too bad, no.
No, you were a top games player.
Ooh, look at that beaker he has there. I actually have a similar one to that, but it's blue right now. I wouldn't be caught dead with a fluorescent yellow beaker. It would have to be blue all along. Mostly because they don't sell yellow ones at my local supermarket. I nearly told you the name of it then, didn't I? And we don't want to be seen to be promoting any one particular supermarket on retro1lim.com.
So you have a chance, you have 2 hits in the back, I suppose. 2 lives, he's pushing through here.
Donkey Kong Country, a game I completed. There are not many games that I did complete. Less than 10 probably, and if I did complete them, that means that I must have enjoyed it. It took me about a week to do, and as I said earlier, I'm pretty bad at video games, and I was even worse then. So that's something of an achievement, isn't it? And Donkey Kong Country, I must say this, is responsible for the destroying of one of my Super Nintendo joypads. I couldn't get past King K. Rool at the end, so it got absolutely smashed. And no doubt a few more pads got smashed by a few other people on the same boss. It's not that difficult, I don't think. It's just I was stuck on him for lives and lives and lives. You know how you sit there for half an hour and you can't beat him, and you just gradually lose patience as you feel the rage building up inside you, and you turn into the angry Nintendo nerd. I often think that the Nintendo nerd is actually channeling his childhood rage that we've all felt. Now, it's time for the kid who sat at home using the actual Super Nintendo joypad to absolutely slaughter the kid who was using his phone joypad. And whoever said this show was fixed, oh wait, me. Those things that you jump on the head of, I've forgotten what they're called. Probably beginning with a K or something. But there's a secret lives cheat you can do at some point. There's a bunch of them coming down the stairs, and if you jump on their head 3 times, you get 25 lives or something. I remember one of the magazines at the time, Nintendo Official Magazine I think it was. Although it might have still been called Nintendo Magazine System then. Bit of a cheesy name. It was printed in there. It said it was a real man's cheat. Well, it would have been the man's cheat compared to the 99 lives code, which it printed simultaneously. Guess which one I used? BARRAL. There you go. That's the cheat for Donkey Kong Country. I can't remember where you type it in. And try down R up LYBXA. Hold on a minute. What's the Konami code? I've forgotten.
So let's burst a few bubbles as we turn to the phones. Who shall I have? I need a good player.
Right, balls! Pardon my French there. Blowing bubbles just to liven things up a little bit. One of those rotary dial phones. Hello, Donna Evans. Do you have a stereotypical Birmingham accent?
There's not much you can say apart from that, really, is there? Have you ever played it before?
No, I haven't, but I think it'll be alright.
What do you think about
No, not really. Hold on a minute. She doesn't sound anything like a Brummie. She's from London. What's going on here? More evidence this show is fixed. It's all fixed, I tells you. One of these days we're going to get somebody who actually appeared on the show to come in and say, all of it was fixed. Every single thing was scripted and we had to follow cue cards. Even this bit here. They've all got their Tottenham shirts on. A particularly good vintage of football shirts. 93, I believe? Mid-90s. Look at those fantastic shirts. Particularly gaudy, but the ones these days are very, very safe, and I'd love to see us go back to those olden days. And I'm pleased that they've gone back to the collars as well, but... Harry Yack at Games World Live, commentating on the clothing. Yes, my next video is going to be Harry Yack commentates on London Fashion Week.
And John is laying into it, that is quick, and it's all over. Oh dear, oh dear.
Yay. Well done. You have won.
3-0 is like a Watford scoreline. That's what I like to say.
That's a Watford shirt. Sorry, Watford fans, I didn't recognise that, but if they weren't in the Premier League, then they didn't exist as far as I was concerned. As far as I'm concerned, there is only one league in the British Football League. The Championship! You thought I was going to say the Premier League there, didn't you? Well, you guessed wrong. Back to Jeremy Daldry and his leather jacket. And he's got some sort of golden envelope. What's in it? Who knows? Who cares? And look at that. What a surprise. All challenges so far won by guys at home on their fantastic sofas. Those other guys were ringers, I tells ya. Oh, do we have to have that picture of Andy Collins there all the time? Fun fact about Andy Collins. He eventually graduated to the full-on presenter when Games World came back in 1998. He was quite diminutive in stature, so they had to pick relatively dumpy girls. The muscle men were quite short as well, I think. And, just to add a bit of humour to proceedings, those muscle-bound blokes had women's names. Oh, hold on, what's this?
On your cum, yeah, okay, right, do your magic, go on then. Right, kids, whatever you do, don't try this at home because it's a very dangerous stunt, okay? Now you put the handkerchief in there, okay, and you sprinkle the magic dust. It's gone. Well done, Dad, well done. Okay, let's have a quick look at what? There's more.
Right, enough of that Darren Brown. I'd actually watch him rather than Darren Brown. Brown is a big fat troll. Ah, but that doesn't stop you watching me, does it?
Back to you, Jesse.
Back to you, Jesse. Who calls him Jesse anyway? The set's looking a bit cheap and cheerful here, I must say, as compared to the main meat of the Games World set, the one that they used to use for the Beat the Elite and Head-to-Head and the Eliminator and so on.
Super Nintendo in a couple of minutes. But we're still going to reveal this week's mystery game hidden there in the mystery box being held by Jess.
What's in the magical box? What's in this girl's box? Yeah, I'm going to reuse that joke. What of it? Another nice selection of... sorry, no, I shouldn't use the word nice, should I? I hate that word. It always makes me think of the biscuit. Nice biscuits. They're not nice at all. They're pleasant, but not nice. Here's a countdown of games. Although, unfortunately, we don't get to see much of them. £70 for Mad Dog McCree? You must be crazy. Well, I guess you do need to buy an actual gun with it as well, and an arcade machine as well. But for a pants game, that's quite a lot of money to pay. He's got his receipt, Jeremy, from Tesco, his local supermarket. Oh, phew. I think I got away with that.
The Spotlights are going to fly with the brand new platform game on the Super Nintendo. Guide our roguish rodent through electrifying...
Was this Rocket Knight? Oh yeah, that reminds me. There used to be a game, was it on the 32X, called Clockwork Knight. It was terrible, but the graphics looked quite cool, and they all fawned over it when it first came out. But it's long forgotten these days. Do a search for it on YouTube, and there'll be not many videos about it. Actually, I lie. Name any individual game in the history of man and somebody will have done a Let's Play of it. Probably rubbish. And I've done most of them on my channel, but enough promoting my channel! Games World! Games World! Games World! Hold on a minute, speaking of chanting... They're actually chanting the competitor's name in the background. That's a common thing that they used to do. I wonder if that was dubbed in afterwards. Possibly, maybe not. I'm not an expert in Games World or anything at all other than... Well, I'm not going to tell you that because that's personal, isn't it?
There it is, 16 for Richard Murphy. Of course, the fact that they're all home team means we can break some friendships and maybe even break some family ties, because one of them is going to go out. Which one, Andy? Okay, well,
and we throw over to the mansion once again. You'd think that considering they'd splashed out all that money for it, they would film it more. You've got the Tottenham players in the background, at least I believe they are. Can any Tottenham fans out there confirm who they are? I do not know because I can't hear this dude talking properly. I only watched this, well, I was going to say last night, but I'm not that organised, unfortunately. I watched this about 2 weeks ago. The aim of this challenge here is to collect as many gems as possible. A very common challenge that they used to use in Games World and Games Master indeed.
No. The scoreboard says it all. The sorry tale that there was just 15 rubies collected there for James.
Oh no, he only got 15. He was 1 ruby off. This is riveting television, this, isn't it? Oh, I just noticed a fantastic cap in the background. He wouldn't have dared wear that on his head because that's supposed to be for a kid, number 1, and number 2, it would have made him look like an idiot. Well, not because wearing a cap generally makes you look like an idiot, but because he is an idiot. Nah, I'm only joking if you're watching this, Jeremy. And I do have it on good authority that the old presenters of these shows do watch these. So, hi Dominic, how you doing? I hope you got that cake I sent you. Hope you didn't have diarrhea afterwards. Toilet humour! You know your commentary is plumbing the depths when you have to resort to toilet humour. Salt and pepper next to the rotary dial phone in the background. Oh, I don't know, it's all pixelated, isn't it?
John 25, James 15, Richard 16, so James Hansen. Only by the smallest possible amount goes out, but hey, he goes.
James Hansen. I wonder if he was a part of that pop group Hansen, which had one hit and then faded away. And nobody ever heard of them again. They were cast into the pit of eternal boy band damnation. The same one as you see in Series 4 of Games World. See, there you go. I can bring anything at all in the whole wide world back to the subject of Games World. It's like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, isn't it? Radio 1 are gonna sue me for citing that now, aren't they? Speaking to the kid at home now. Ah, right, this is the yes-no game, or rather you have to ask questions and figure out what the game is in the box, but I don't care what's in the box, because I'm looking at the lovely lady. I'll have to remember to go and get her number afterwards, but probably not, as by now, she'll be about 60. Ah, yes, it was Super Mario Kart. And that that box is somewhat battered in, isn't it? I'll do a video on that one day. In fact, I have done a video, but I thought it was a bit too cheesy to upload. You may see that on the Harry Yack DVD coming soon. Ah, Dragon! Should I tell this story, or have I told that story already? I was speaking to a guy last week who bought Dragon on the Mega Drive. A second-hand, of course, for probably a massively inflated price. On the front of the manual, yes indeed it had a manual, some kid had written, in dodgy writing, Doctor's Book. Now, either that kid took that book with him to the doctors to try and learn that game because those moves are impossible to learn, and you would need quite a bit of studying of the manual to figure out what you need to do in that, even when you're waiting in the doctor's surgery. Or, indeed, it contained his medical records. Jonathan Smith, medical history, down, up, punch, kill the Phantom, and so on. I have played on that copy of Dragon, incidentally. He very kindly played a 2-player game with me. We could not defeat the second boss. Firstly, you play a sailor, just called a sailor, and then a couple of barblokes, I think, who look a bit like Bourbon out of Streets of Rage 2. But we could not get past that together. Because either the game is rubbish or we're rubbish. I think it's the latter.
John, you have won. I've got to say, Richard, you played very well. Well done. But, John, you have won a fantastic mountain bike.
And look at that. Somebody's won. I'm not necessarily very bothered. I wonder if Andy Collins actually supported Watford, or they just sent him that shirt to wear. If you've ever bought any of the lads' mags and you see the girls in the football shirts, they don't support those teams, you know. And it doesn't necessarily make them any sexier that they're wearing your team's shirt. In fact, I wouldn't ever date a girl just because she had a Wigan Athletic shirt on. Oh, stop ruining that bike! What are you doing? No, he's gonna crash, isn't he? He's gonna crash! Oh, you missed a trick with the comedy sound effect, Games World. I'm disappointed in you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thus brings to a close another stuttering Games World commentary, this time on Games World Live. It's not necessarily been very interesting, but that's not for me to decide. Well, actually it is. If this was crap, I wouldn't upload it. Ah, Games World Magazine! I never had a copy of that, ever, and we have the traditional Sky One voiceover bloke. If anybody knows his name, write in and tell me the usual address. You can find that on the website, and not in the description for this video, because I'm making that up, and I wouldn't want you sending stupid letters to random addresses that do not exist, because that would be a great big waste of time. Sayonara, Retro and Lemmes.